Hey VC, Tony here. Tony's LPs Are Us. Another installment of our never-ending stuff about records and vinyl and books and tapes and movies and soundtracks. But today's segment is another one of my featured segments where I talk about records that are iconic, that are grails to some, and that for whatever reason have never been reissued. And the one here I'm pointing to, Buckingham Nicks, has to be, in the modern era, the epitome of a record that should be reissued. It's out of print. It's not even on CD officially. It's on a CD copy in Asia or Australia, or it streams, but there is no official CD even. Buckingham Nicks, September 1973. As you know, Lindsey Buckingham, Stevie Nicks, they went on to be included in Fleetwood Mac in New Year's Eve of 74 after Mick Fleetwood somehow stumbled upon, I think initially maybe Stevie Nicks in the studio, and maybe Lindsey was playing guitar, or the producer introduced them to his guitar playing. And I've got Fleetwood's book here, Fleetwood Mac's biography, and it goes into detail a little bit about how they were incorporated into Fleetwood Mac, and the stories vary depending on who you talk to, but I'm going to go over Fleetwood's story. But first, this record should be reissued. I just listened to it. This sounds fantastic. This is a near mint copy. This is a PRC stamp, which means it's from the PRC recording company in Richmond, Indiana. It's stamped on one side. Side one, I believe, it's sterling. Side two is master disc, and it's cut by Gilbert Kong. That's etched in there. Interesting enough, there's some folks that claim they have a RL of this. This is not an RL. I'm not sure if RLs exist. That's one of the folklores of this record, which has many. This record apparently was pressed to about 50,000 copies. It bombed. It didn't chart. Polydor did not push it. It was kind of a record that I think because of the year and the era, 72, 73, 74, there were so many albums. You could count to 1,000 records that were issued in 72 and 73, rock albums specifically, that were unbelievable. So I believe this just got lost in that shuffle. This is the genesis of the modern Fleetwood Mac, which in 1975, Fleetwood Mac came out with Stevie and Buckingham in the group. One of the rumors are that initially Fleetwood only wanted Buckingham. Buckingham said, "We're a duo, we come together," and he goes, "Fine, she's in the group as well." His story is the producer, who is Keith Olsen, that produced this record, in Fleetwood Mac talking to him about Buckingham, said, "I want Buckingham to be my guitar player." A week prior, one of my favorite eras of Fleetwood Mac was the Robert Welch, Bob Welch era. Bob Welch had just left the band to go on a solo career. A week later, Fleetwood Mac came to the studio talking to Keith Olsen and said, "You know that guitar player I heard about a year ago, which was Lindsey Buckingham? I'd like him to join the band." And Olsen told him, "Well, look, they're not going to come. He's not going to come without Stevie." And he said, "No problem. Stevie's in the band." Buckingham didn't rehearse for the lead guitar spot, and Fleetwood says in his autobiography that whatever happened in Fleetwood Mac was always a twist of fate. No one ever auditioned. Nothing was ever planned. Like I said, Bob Welch is leaving. They get this guy who took them to another level. Fleetwood Mac, which was in 75, their first collaboration with the original Fleetwood Mac. Sold in excess of 7-8 million copies. It's just an outstanding record. That's been reissued a million times on 45, I believe, all over the world. This record has never been reissued. This is an original. I'm going to show you the inner sleeve, the Polydor original. And like I said, the etching is PRC. Side 1 is Sterling. Side 2 is Master Disc. And it's a Gilbert Kong cut, not a RL cut that someone says they have. The original, this is only the original. This is the gatefold. There's the cover. It has like a negative rear cover. And apparently Stevie was not happy with the artwork on this because they made her take off her shirt for this photo. And she felt really trapped. She was young. She was probably, I'm thinking, 19, 20 years old. She was working as a cleaning lady because this record did not take off. Buckingham was actually, I believe at the time, working with one of the Isley brothers, filling in the other part on tour and playing guitar. And I'll show you the gatefold. This is a really nice copy. Really nice copy. And just to let you know what musicians are on here, Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham, obviously, drums, Hoppy Hodges, Jim Keltner, and Ronnie Tutt, two famous drummers. And Ronnie Tutt is one of my famous drummers because he toured the Vegas years with Elvis. He also drummed for many, many different albums. One specifically that off the top of my head is a Elvis Costello record. Lindsey Buckingham guitars. Let me see here. Bass is Mark Tulin. Lindsey Buckingham plays bass. Jerry Sheaf plays bass. Jerry Sheaf played with Elvis, and Jerry Sheaf played on Doors records. He was the bass player, maybe not live, perhaps live, but on some of the sessions. Keyboards were Peggy Sandvik. Percussion, George Galderon, Lindsey Buckingham, Hoppy Hodges. Synthesizer, Monty Stark. The guitar player was another guitar player was Waddy Whitshell, who's, I believe his brother is someone of note. Keith Olsen was the producer. The Dye Company, Los Angeles, was the one who did the artwork. And Stevie did not want to do this pose, but apparently Buckingham also took his shirt off, so I don't think that's even. I don't think that's an even deal. But for some reason, this record's never been reissued. Now, we've got tons of reissues. We have Golden Earring being reissued. We have James Brown being reissued. We have Marvin Gaye being reissued. We just have this big Black Sabbath that's sold out from Rhino being reissued. We have countless jazz records being reissued that need to be reissued. This has never been reissued. This is out of print. Like I said, 50,000 copies may be printed. This is the holy grail for especially Fleetwood Mac people, because this record, when you listen to it, it has that foreshadowing of Fleetwood Mac Rumors, Fleetwood Mac Tango, Tusk, and whatever else Buckingham touched on those Fleetwood Mac records. So this is amazing. I just listened to it again. I listened to it twice before I did this little talk. And it's interesting because Stevie sounds the same, very young. He sounds the same, just a little younger. The guitar playing is exceptional. Without a Leg to Stand On, which is, I believe, maybe the second track. This is in order. Could be the second track. Third track on side 1. Each side has an instrumental, which is highlighted by acoustic guitar and finger picking. Just like the Flamingo, Django is a song, so you know where that is, where that homage is to the great guitar player Django. But Buckingham was playing guitar at a young age. Started out with a Mickey Mouse guitar. His parents bought him a little better guitar, probably a $20 guitar. He learned on his own, never took a lesson, doesn't read music, just a savant. He is listed as probably Rolling Stone. They've got the market on listings. Top 100 guitar players, I guess, of modern rock times. So that's it. Just a little bit more history on Fleetwood Mac, on Buckingham Nicks, Stevie before Fleetwood Mac. They met, I believe, in high school. I'm not sure who's younger, but they were within a year or two apart. They jammed together. They sung harmonies and things. Stevie was always into music. Buckingham had a little band called Fritz. There's another part of Fritz. They ended up calling it Fritz. Didn't really go anywhere. It's like a local California, gig band. I believe covers. And he asked Stevie to join them as the singer. And the boys were in the band were kind of jealous because people would say to them, "We'd like to hire the band with that cute singer," or "Where's the band with that girl singer?" Girl singer. So she definitely, probably more like a Deborah Harry thing, where Deborah Harry was the focus of a great band, but Deborah Harry was the vocalist. She was beautiful. Stevie Nicks, beautiful, young, and she got all the glory, and that didn't work out too well. The band kind of split up. Somehow they got a contract to sign with Polydor from a demo tape that Buckingham and Stevie recorded on an Ampex 4-track that Buckingham, I believe, fooled around with. And they said that he had this shop in his father's factory. I believe his father manufactured coffee or something. Why this isn't reissued in 50 years? It's over 50 years. 1973, right? Buckingham Nicks, they own this. They own the record. I guess it's split down the middle. Stevie wanted to release it. I believe Stevie released. I was talking to a friend who's a Fleetwood Mac aficionado. I talked to him about today. He said that he believes some of the tunes were released on some anthologies by Stevie, but other than that, never been repressed, only on bootlegs. If you go on Amazon, there's an Asian copy on CD that's selling. There's also bootlegs of the record. I don't know if they're not for sale online, but they are out there. They probably floated around in the 70s when Fleetwood Mac became huge. So they own the rights. Apparently, it's not like a money deal where they need to release this to get paid royalties and record sales. They don't really need that. They're both well off musician-wise. From what I read, Stevie wants to release it. Buckingham does not. So, that's basically it. This is just a sketch of their history. And like I indicated before, it was just a simple twist of fate not to steal a line from Bob Dylan. I don't want to have to pay royalties like Hootie and the Blowfish did when they stole a few lines from Tangled Up in Blue, and Bob's lawyers went after them for good reason. It's intellectual property, but they paid a pretty sum. So, but that's it. This record needs to be released. It was deleted from the catalog. Like I said, it didn't do well. It was kind of a bomb. I think it was kind of swallowed up in all the great records that were out, 72, 73, 71. I could go on. I'm probably going to do a segment on records of 72, records of 73. Every year there were 100 records that you had to own. If you were my age, high school, late high school, college age, you had to own those records. Here's another look at the gatefold. This hasn't even been cracked. So this is a really nice copy. And like I said, this is etched Sterling on side 1, Master Disc on side 2, which I don't understand why that happened. But after 68, like I said, they were hanging out. Lindsay invited Stevie to join Fritz. They hung out. They did the demo tape. This got released. Somehow Fleetwood heard them, heard Buckingham, and the rest is rock history. It's kind of, it's just off the charts. I think the first thing, this is not interesting, but it's kind of funny. This is Fleetwood talking. Here's Mick Fleet. I can't find the jacket. It's around somewhere. But Mick was talking to Keith Olsen, the producer, and he was looking through the recording booth, and they were in there. And he said, "Who's that pretty girl in there?" Her name, Keith said, was Stevie Nicks. And a few years later, Buckingham Nicks is part of Fleetwood Mac. She got along really well with Christy McVie, which was one of the areas that Mick was concerned about. Having two beautiful, talented people, female people in a rock band was not really something that was happening. There were mamas and papas and stuff like that. Hart later did it, but this was new, and Mick just wanted to make sure that everybody got along. Fleetwood Mac was their 10th record, so Fleetwood Mac were around for years. Blues era, Peter Green, Welch, Buckingham. So a really great history. I did a video on what was your favorite incarnation of Fleetwood Mac, and I might try to link it to this if I could figure out how to do that. I don't always do it correctly. But anyway, please, if you're out there, Chad, Music Direct people, Rhino, I don't think Rhino owns Polydor, but, it's out there. They're saying that the master tapes could be lost. The master tapes could be not up to the standards. That's one of the rumors. But who knows? At least let it out there that can't be released. So we won't hope for it. But it really needs to be released. I have a copy. But for all those folks out there who are spending hundreds on this, before I forget, I just checked eBay. There's a lot of copies for sale. A sealed copy is going for well over $500. VG copies are going for $30 or $40. Now, you don't want a VG copy because what's the sense? But VG Plus, excellent, near mint, they're going for $200, $200 on up. So if you see this copy in a store for $50, $60 and it's excellent or near mint, just pick it up as an investment. It's definitely going to hold its value. It's going to go up. So that's it. Buckingham is, I believe, 75, 76 years old. He has 3 daughters. Usually when, God forbid, he passes on for whatever reason, he just had open heart surgery. He went through a divorce. He was married to a woman for over 20 years, and I believe they're going through a divorce. His wife filed while he was recovering from open heart surgery, I believe in June of 2021 or something. I have it here somewhere. Let me see. Yeah, June of 2021. Christian Messenger filed for divorce. He was undergoing recovery from open heart surgery. So, who knows? Maybe it'll be released. Maybe the kids will release it, but they won't need the money. Paul McCartney just held up the original Let It Be movie, the hour-long rockumentary. He just released that a few weeks ago, and that was in limbo because Paul wouldn't sign off on it. So now we have it. Now you don't hear about it anymore. But this is something that should be released. Getting back to Paul, I did a video where Let It Be Naked, the redo of Let It Be, stripped of all the Phil Spector-isms, the strings and all the dubs and things like that. That was released. That was out of print. It's never been released. That needs to be released. It's expensive as well. The Beatles never released Rock and Roll Music, the double greatest hits compilation with the foil cover, Coca-Cola Americana. That was never reissued, I believe, but that record is not an expensive record. That record you could pick up a really good copy for $30 or $40, I think. This is an expensive copy, apparently only 50,000 pressed. So this needs to be released. Let me know what you think. Do you have this copy? And do you have an RL? Because there's rumors that RL, there's also a Robert Ludwig cut, which I don't have, and I don't know who has it because on Discogs it's kind of sketchy. So before I stop rambling, thank you for all the subs. If you haven't subbed, please do so. Really appreciate it. Really helps us out. Stay safe, keep rocking, and hopefully we'll get a copy of this someday. Like I said, it's not even on CD. I guess you could stream it. You could probably listen to it on YouTube. But to hear this record, I just played it on my turntable. And this record is reminiscent of Fleetwood Mac. It is so, the guitar sound is so good. Olsen did a great job in producing. The Sterling press, the Monarch, I think there's some Monarchs. This is a master disc Sterling. So this sounds great. So, come on, who's out there? Chad, Music Direct, Buckingham, Stevie. Are you listening? Is anybody out there? Lindsay, can you hear me? Let's reissue this. Not for me, but for all your fans. Why should they have to spend hundreds of dollars to complete their Lindsey Buckingham, Stevie Nicks, Fleetwood Mac catalog in their collections? Do it for the people. List it. Please. Let's do it. What do you think? Thanks. Keep rocking. We'll see you soon.